In the 2020 primary, the vice president praised the defund the police movement, and now she says she doesn't support defunding the police. She called for decriminalizing crossing the border illegally. Now she supports President Biden's policies for clamping down at the border. She supported Medicare for all at one point, eliminating private insurance, and her campaign says she doesn't support that now. She's reversed herself on a fracking ban. What do you think that voters should think when she's reversed herself on several issues just in the last 4 years?
So Kamala Harris's word salads have become so bad that even people on CNN like Dana Bash are starting to call it out. Take a listen.
When you listen to Kamala Harris on what she will do, you can almost start a drinking game every time she says small businesses. Let me give you an example.
Part of my plan under my economic opportunity plan going forward is that right now, startup entrepreneurs, small businesses only get a tax deduction of $5,000. Nobody can start a small business with $5,000. So I'm expanding that to $50,000. Understanding, again, that when people have the opportunity to have the resources to get started, they're going to put the good ideas, they're going to put the hard work into it.
Describe the politics of that.
Yeah, there are no politics of that. So folks, if you enjoy the content, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you are new, and let's see what else they have to say. Let's check it out.
Says that she also talks about being a middle-class kid. That's also at the front of her answers. Yeah. If you look at the interviews they've been doing with local media, and they've opened up a bit more since the debate, the first question is often, what are you going to do to lower prices? Which is a very hard question for an incumbent party to answer, and it has implications that are very Trumpian. It is, Trump says he's going to do mass deportation, that'll decrease demand. Trump says he'll explore more energy, that'll decrease energy costs. Democrats can point to the fact that inflation is actually, it was bad 2 years ago, it's not now. What people want to hear is, how do you make the prices go down? So everything she says is something realistic that could survive a fact check that answers a very hard question. There is not a plan to say that we're going to lower the cost of your grocery bill to what it was in 2019. There was a pandemic. There was a money supply inflation. You can't hit the button that makes that go away. But Trump has an answer that gets him through these questions. And Harris, I think, with a different set of incentives and a different relationship to something she can back up in a policy paper, she doesn't have an answer. So she goes to a larger, well, imagine a future where there are more businesses and this starts to ameliorate.
Okay, well, that guy kind of provided a bit of a word salad, just like his candidate Kamala Harris. But the point here was made in that one single sentence. There is no plan. She does not have a plan, and this is true largely of everything. But here's my question. What exactly is going on with the media? Why do they sometimes feel like it's okay to call out their preferred candidate, Kamala Harris? And one thing I've been saying for a while is I think what you are seeing fundamentally is that the media, the mainstream legacy, liberal-leaning media, is actually kind of frustrated with Kamala Harris, largely because of her press availability, right? They want to interview her, they want to give her the ratings, etc., and yet she is refusing to do so. And we've been seeing for quite a long time, CNN has been calling her out for that.
It's not sitting down for regular interviews or fielding questions from the press, certainly not to the degree that her counterpart Donald Trump is. Why? Why is she not doing more interviews to talk about her policies and answer some of the questions that voters have about her policies and on her change, on her views in some of them?
Well, Jake, she's done interviews, and I know that we would love, or you would love, to see her sit down every single day with CNN and do interviews, but she's a very busy person.
She's done interviews? How many? 3? What the heck kind of answer is that? But I think it hits on a very true point, which is whether or not the media is kind of pissed about this for selfish reasons, and obviously it is selfish, right? They want the ratings. At the end of the day, they are still a for-profit business, and so they need that. They need to do the Kamala Harris interview. Nonetheless, the point here is still completely true. Kamala Harris refuses to talk to anyone, and obviously, when you are a person like her who needs the support and kind of the media to just push her across the finish line in the election, it's not exactly a smart move to be constantly angering them and pissing them off because, hey, they want to ask you questions, you refuse to do so. But on top of that, I will also say, I don't think it's entirely the reason why the media is sometimes occasionally exposing her, especially CNN, because I think also in many ways, Kamala Harris just does this to herself, because when you are so full of ridiculous word salads and nonsense, sometimes you're just going to catch yourself in a lie. And that's recently what happened when Jim Acosta was interviewing a Kamala Harris spokesperson. Take a listen.
She said at one point, well, if somebody tries to break into my home, they're going to get shot. She made that comment, and then she said, well, my staff will go ahead and clean that up. You are on Kamala Harris's staff. Can you give us some more information? I'm just curious, from a biographical background, what do we know about this firearm that she owns, and when did she get it?
Yeah, well, look, she has made it very clear that she staunchly supports the Second Amendment. She supports strong, responsible gun ownership, and she does own a firearm. So I don't know. I can't really comment more than that.
She supports the Second Amendment. She owns a firearm. I can't say much more than that. Look, in fairness, I will say that's probably not something you talk with your campaign staff about, but I think what's much closer to the truth is simply the fact that she doesn't own a gun. Right? She's just making this up. This is just something suddenly 2024 on the campaign trail she decides she wants to talk about. She has spent her entire career being, let's not forget, one of the most anti-gun politicians in the entire Democrat Party, and suddenly now she's a supporter of the Second Amendment. That's nonsense. And you saw there, Jim Acosta was not trying to necessarily set up this Kamala Harris spokesperson. She kind of just walked into it because this is not a statement that's very easy for Kamala Harris to defend.
And yeah, I am a radical. I do believe that we need to get radical about what we are doing and take it seriously.
We're going to require responsible behaviors among everybody in the community. And just because you legally possess a gun in the sanctity of your locked home doesn't mean that we're not going to walk into that home and check to see if you're being responsible and safe in the way you conduct your affairs.
Most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed.
Yeah, contrast that with what she is saying now, and you will understand why even her own spokespeople on CNN have a difficult time defending their candidate.
So, first of all, yes, I am a gun owner, and Tim Walz is a gun owner, and we're not trying to take anybody's guns away from them. But we do need an assault weapons ban.
And that's ultimately the issue that Kamala Harris is going to face when you run a campaign that is so ridiculously fake. Eventually, people will start to notice. People will start to see, hey, what's going on here? The only issue, I think, for Trump is that they switched her out last minute. And I think the election will be a question of whether or not enough people in America see through her fast enough, because if this were a full election cycle, it'd be pretty easy. But because you're running on such a limited time, maybe there's a little bit different of a situation. And of course, it would be a lot easier to expose if she actually sat down and took questions from the media. But we know that she really does not seem fond of doing that.
In the 2020 primary, the vice president praised the defund the police movement, and now she says she doesn't support defunding the police. She called for decriminalizing crossing the border illegally. Now she supports President Biden's policies for clamping down at the border. She supported Medicare for all at one point, eliminating private insurance, and her campaign says she doesn't support that now. She's reversed herself on a fracking ban. What do you think that voters should think when she's reversed herself on several issues just in the last 4 years?
I think that voters should think that she's a human being who learns new things every single day and has the ability to take the time and effort to hear the concerns of all people. I think that...
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Even when people try to defend Kamala Harris, they can't help but defend her with another word salad, because how do you defend a word salad? You know, you have to give your own word salad to find, you know what I mean. But that said, ladies and gentlemen, we will ultimately have to see this November, on November 5th, how smart are the American people, okay? Can they see through this, or, you know, is the wool over the curtain and they just can't see? Guess we're gonna find out, and let's hope that the average IQ IQ of the American people is a lot higher than the Kamala Harris campaign is essentially gambling on, banking on. So with that said, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.